I don't know. Obviously, valuations have to be met between the selling club and the buying club, and it is difficult. But as well, it shows that there are a lot of clubs with a lot of financial power to spend big amounts, and we have to compete with them. So we have to be smart. We have to seek for good opportunities as well, and we have to be attractive for players. At the end, players decide where they want to play, and if they want to play for our club, this is great.
You hear Mikel Arteta there talking about the deal. He was directly asked about Mudryk and his potential move to Arsenal. Now, this deal has shown the ups and the downs, the pitfalls, the problems, the excitement, the anxiety that comes with the transfer window. Fabrizio Romano has spoken this morning about this deal and has said that, of course, Arsenal are confident, Arteta too, but reaching an agreement with Shakhtar is crucial. They were so strong in negotiations also in August when they turned down 30 million euros from Everton, when it sounded like a great bid. But what we do know is that Chelsea are in for Mudryk, but not just Mudryk. They are also looking at Marcus Thuram as well. They are working on both deals. Chelsea know each target has complications. Issue with Mudryk is the asking price coupled with the player's desire to join Arsenal. Challenge with Thuram is getting the deal done now. But Chelsea Football Club are pushing hard for Mudryk. Arsenal are confident. But where does the player want to be? That is the big question. We're going to delve into that in a little bit more detail and take a look at the Enzo Fernandez deal, which is still on. Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea is still a deal that is active, on, and possible as it stands right now. Thuram to Chelsea, the Mudryk deal, and much, much more. Hit the like and share button. Let's go. We know Arsenal are confident. We know that Mudryk would be disappointed. And that is what the majority of journalists have told us. Mudryk would be disappointed if he cannot join Arsenal. It's where he wants to be, it's where he sees his future. And I personally believe, just based on the stories we've read, the social media interactions from Mudryk, that Arsenal are not only the front runners, they're very likely to sign this player, whether that be now in January or in the summer, they're likely to get him. But where this deal remains interesting to me is Chelsea's interest and the fact that football clubs can change their minds as well. And I think Arsenal fans should take note at looking at Yuri Tillemans. 2 summers running, he was seen as a standout primary target. There were times during the 2022 summer window that he was seen as the next deal. Jesus will get done, then it will be Yuri Tillemans, and we'll move on from that point. And it didn't happen. And now it kind of appears that the club, they may still go in for him for free in the summer. But 2 years after they were first heavily linked, he was not a priority signing. He would have come in already. And there's many examples of clubs wanting players, missing out on them for one reason or another, not being able to agree deals, injuries, and then moving on to other people. For instance, should João Felix come into Arsenal and set the world alight, maybe in a kind of a second striker role, a 10 role, I don't really care what how you want to use to describe it. Jesus is the main man. Maybe there comes a point Smith Rowe returns to the floor for is on fire in great form, both centrally and on the left. And maybe then there's less of a desire to spend that money on Mudryk. There's a tweet actually here from Livs, of course, big Arsenal fan on socials, who says the Mudryk and the Felix rumors have distracted all of us from the fact that we need cover for Thomas Partey in January. We all know if he goes down, we're effed. Now, what's interesting about that is maybe signing João Felix for £9 million loan fee, £70 million future fee, and then investing that 60, 70, 80 million you may spend on Mahalo Mudryk into a midfield player would be money better spent. The reason I say all this and the reason I bring this up is that's why you have to think about Chelsea's interest, because that's what they're going to be putting into the player's ear. It's what I would be doing. If I was at Chelsea, I would be talking to the player's agent, the player's family, and saying, listen, look, I know he wants Arsenal more than us right now, but look at the reality of football. Look how quickly the world can change. Look how quickly it can change. Football does this all the time. We need to sign Joe Bloggs. He's a star boy. We want to, Man United fans are going through this right now. Sancho is going to be the guy on the left-hand side this season. Rashford was in bad form. Opportunity for him with Anthony coming in on the right. Now suddenly we're all more interested in seeing how Garnacho develops. Excuse me. So I just kind of look at it and think to myself, Mahalo Mudryk cannot get too emotional about this. What Ben Jacobs also goes on to say is that Chelsea will seriously push for Mudryk if they feel they have a genuine chance. Right now, with 3 weeks left to do business, Mudryk is still waiting for Arsenal. Chelsea are also not prepared to pay the 100 million euros. Their own valuation is really not significantly different to Arsenal's. That's also key in this. They're not willing to spend tens of millions of pounds more on this deal than Arsenal. All I would say to Arsenal fans is don't be surprised if he ends up at Chelsea. Doesn't mean you're not favorites. Doesn't mean you're not leading the race right now. But the football transfer window, like any sales business, like any walk of life, can change very, very quickly and almost unexpectedly. Expect the unexpected is essentially what you should be doing. And if he does join Arsenal, doesn't mean he's rejected. If he joins Chelsea, it doesn't mean he's rejected Arsenal. It's just the nature of the beast. Mudryk is trying to secure himself a big money move to the biggest league, the most famous league, the most entertaining football league in the world. Arsenal was his preferred destination. But if Arsenal's suddenly off the table, he has to weigh up his options. He may wait until the summer, but he may not. Chelsea's situation is interesting, as we've already mentioned. Marcus Thuram, which Ben Jacobs speaks about here, that's a separate deal. They are not intertwined with one another. This is a player Chelsea are looking at to bring in the here and now to try and push themselves over the line, increase their goal output, their goal creation, because it's really poor right now. Chelsea just cannot score. If they landed in a barrel of boobs, they would come out sucking their thumb. There is no doubt about it. They're in a terrible, terrible run of form as it stands right now. And they're also working hard still on the Enzo Fernandez deal. Now, the Fernandez deal was a really interesting one because it was reported as collapsed and off and dead 3 days ago. But none of the major journalists confirmed that, even including Fabrizio that said the deal would collapse, didn't say it was off. There'll be no reprisal. There was always that, as of now, things have stagnated. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this progresses over the coming days. It really is going to be interesting to see how this progresses. And I say coming days, there's only 3 weeks of the window left. There's only 21 days. That will go very, very quickly, especially once this FA Cup weekend is over and we're gearing up for probably the most crucial time of the season. The most crucial period in the Premier League is about to hit us, this mid to late January period where a lot of the big teams play each other, the title race, top four race, and all that jazz is not going to be finished or settled, but it's the prelude before the home straight. So clubs are going to want to get their business done. They're going to want it over the line. They don't want to be reactionary and playing catch up. They'd like to get players in sooner rather than later. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this kind of progresses. But as I've said about Chelsea this whole time, people think they've got a scattergun approach, and I understand why the way they're operating looks like that. But I do think there is some magic amongst the madness. I do think there is a plan here. I do believe that they are looking to bring in a vat of young talent and have a manager create a system and a philosophy and style that lasts for many years. I don't believe this is a kind of on the edge of your seats, fly by night merchant, cowboy operation. I don't believe that. I think Chelsea are trying to build something substantial. I do. And of course, there is the notion that, they're going after everybody else's targets. But Chelsea have done this even when they were successful. Mikel, Robben, to name just two they took off of Manchester United. Eden Hazard, they took off United. They've taken a number off of Arsenal, a number off of Chelsea. If you look at Man City in the early days, they essentially bought Arsenal's team. They bought Arsenal's team. What Chelsea are doing isn't new. I know for younger fans, it will seem new. It will seem no one's ever done this before. They have. They have. Sometimes it's been successful. Sometimes there's been failure. Man United have taken a number of players off of City that they wanted, Alexis Sanchez and Fred and Maguire. Didn't work out for us. So there is an equal argument either side of the fence to say taking other players' targets for their main players works. There is arguments and examples where it doesn't. But it's all about the internal structure. It's all about the internal structure. And are you buying the right profile of player for the manager and the philosophy, as opposed to your method of attaining those players, in my opinion. But as it stands, we know this is the case. And I wanted to reiterate this because I must have had about 100 DMs, private messages, comments on the YouTube page in the last couple of days, collectively, not each, sort of asking about what's going on with Mudryk. There's been no major updates. What's going on? The point is, nothing has really changed as of now. I think you should go back right to the beginning and listen to Mikel Arteta. The player will decide where he plays. And that's so true in football. If Mudryk pushes harder, he'll get the move that he wants. And right now, he has picked Arsenal. Those personal terms are agreed. The deal is very, very close. And I say close because all that remains is agreeing the fee between clubs. And that isn't that far away. They're not 10, they're not 50 million pounds apart on their private negotiations. Maybe 10, maybe 12 million pounds apart. And that it's coming closer all the time, in my view. Make sure like buttons are being smashed, people. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace. Remember, Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea still on. Chelsea working on Thuram, and they want Mihailo Mudryk, but he still wants Arsenal as of now. That has not changed. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. See you soon.